Hi guys. So we are going, not we, it's just me. I'm going to answer the questions that you have been posting throughout the day in Randall's Readers. I'm sitting in my living room watching The Big Bang Theory, which is now on mute, and eating cold Chinese food. It's so glamorous I can't even get a handle on it. Alright, let's get started. The first question is from Laura Wilson. She says, I know that right now you are planning with the November Blue series, but what else is on the horizon? Anything with old friends? By old friends, if you mean if I'll be co-authoring again, yes. Michelle Pace and I are working on our novella that involves Pace Turner from Reckless Abandon and her heroine, Stephanie Breyer, who's in Fury and in the upcoming sequel Rage. That's really exciting. And Charles and I will also be writing lots more books together. I have some pretty sick ideas. Sick as in cool and mentally ill. And he's got some too, so we're just going to get a couple of our own books out of the way first, so we can take some time to see which direction we want to go together. Rosa says, do you prefer writing for a series or a standalone better, and how is your writing process different for each? I think there are some easy things and some challenges that come from both standalones and series. The challenge with the series, I think, is keeping it fresh and interesting through a number of books. You're with the same characters, you get to know them, and it's keeping it interesting. The challenge with a standalone is really making it feel complete and telling one deep and solid story. I actually don't have a preference. It depends completely on the idea and on the characters. And sometimes, if I have an idea for a story, I don't know if it will be a standalone or a series until I'm somewhere in the middle of the process. The process for each isn't really all that different. I just lied. It's a little different. When I started writing 10 Days, I didn't know that was going to be a series. So I was just kind of writing and didn't think much about a series arc. But then once I got in the middle of Reckless Abandon, I started planning for a couple books ahead. For a series that I'm planning on writing next year, I have been planning characters and topics that I want to cover within the series, and trying to sort of figure out how I'm going to do that, making each book kind of stand alone, but having the series have some, continuity and an overarching theme. So that's really how the process differs, is just trying to keep the individual books in a series complete while telling a much larger story through the series as a whole. That took me a really long time to answer. Okay, Laura asks, what's a typical day like for you, writing-wise? If it's a day that I'm writing, because I don't necessarily write every day, I get up a little bit before the kids get up, and Charles and I will attempt to have some coffee and quiet. Then the kids wake up and go nuts for a while. When Quinn goes to school, he usually heads upstairs. In our bedroom, we have our two desks, and he usually writes for most of the morning. And I grumble downstairs in jealousy and take care of my kids. And then he picks his kids up from school and goes with them to their mom's house and does, homework and dinner and stuff with them. And my kid's dad comes over 3 days a week after work and watches them while I go to work. So I will go to the coffee shop, usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, from 4 till 9. And then I come home. Charles usually meets me at the coffee shop around 7 or so, and we'll write together for a little bit, and then we'll come home. Um, and I'd like to try to read before bed or write if there's something that I feel like I really need to get across. Um, on the weekends, if I don't have the kids, which is most weekends, I just kind of try to write throughout the day. I'm trying to get better about disciplining that time to make it more effective so y'all get better books. Um, Laura asks, what is your favorite book of yours? My favorite book of mine is In the Stillness. Um, Partly because it was an incredibly personal and emotional journey, but I just really like the characters. I really grew to love Riker. When I wrote the first page, I had no intention of him becoming a part of the story really at all, and he turned into just this amazing, wonderful character, and I just really respect and adore him. All right. Laura says, which authors have influenced you and your writing style? All of them, really. Um, I was working in a critique group with Dave Newell when he was writing Red Laurie, and I really admired his frugalness and his respect for words. It's just really simple, but with a lot of meaning. It's really like poetry in itself, saying a lot in a few words. Um, and with Charles, it's very much the same way. Um, Reading Taryn Fisher's work, I try to expand my mind. She has some pretty wicked descriptions in her books, and I really admire that. And then with my girls, Michelle Pace and Maggie Myers and Melissa Brown, I take pieces from each of them. Michelle Pace has this incredible wit in real life, but it really shows through in her characters and in different ways. I mean, it just makes me laugh. Maggie can really produce this raw sensitivity, and Melissa Brown, with I've been studying her books lately for Regan's book, just for that the pure kind of unadulterated romance, you know. So that's an answer there. Kara asks, other than being an author, what other careers have you considered? Well, it's complicated. I used to want to be a social worker. Um, and that was about it. And then I wanted to be a priest or a pastor. I wanted to study theology and get my master's in divinity. That was actually kind of what occupied most of my research time before I started writing. Was I was researching programs in that. Um, and other than that, unless I could have found a way to make money, just hanging out and being awesome, those are really it. So, okay. I'm going to attempt your name here. I don't know if it's just Rachel, spelt fantastically, or Rochelle, but she asks, which male character has been your favorite to write? That's Riker. Um, but Regan is a close second. I'm writing him more, and he had some fantastic dialogue that I wrote yesterday, and I really got to know him on a different level. And he's really fun and sweet in a different way. But Riker was a challenge for me to write, which is why he's my favorite. Because he was passionate and strong and vulnerable and had gone through a bunch of stuff, and was just working it out. So that was really fun. And she also asks, what's your favorite thing about being an author? I get to live in a land of make-believe most of the time until I don't, and then it's hard. But aside from living in that land of make-believe, I get to explore some of my own ignorances, my own fears, my own joys, my own questions, and turn them into stories and kind of work them out. They're like, novels are like big workbooks, um, big emotional, psychological workbooks. Kristen, if you suddenly went completely colorblind, only seeing in black, gray, and white, what color would you miss the most? Well, I am literally wearing black from head to toe right now. But I think I would most miss seeing the color blue because well, it's my favorite color. Sorry, the color is all weird. Oh, I don't like this. Ooh. Oh. Because blue is, the color of the sky and the color of the ocean, but it's my favorite color. And it's one that's used a lot, in books, for eye color, and it's the color of two of my kids' eyes, and I just would miss blue the most. That's my answer. Let's see. Sally says, if you could ask any fictional character one question, what would it be? Any fictional character. That's, I don't know. I might sit down and have a chat with Holden Caulfield, maybe. I don't know what the hell I would ask him now. I have to read the book again first to decide. But I think I'd have a chat with young Holden. Laura, milk or dark chocolate? I know that you said I didn't have to answer that, but the answer is dark. Really, really dark. Like, ask Charles. You won't be able to because he won't be home before I finish this, but like 72% dark. I have it now. He hates it. He says it tastes like baking chocolate. Good. More for me. Then Laura says, you don't have to answer that one. I want to know more about your work with the boys in the minimum security facility. Elaborate, please. How did you stumble on this job? So my junior year of college, I was at Cornell University, and during spring break, I signed up for an alternative spring break where we go on a community service trip. And Lake Placid, New York was my third choice, and I got it. And it was to the Mountain Lake Academy, which is a boys' home. It's kind of like a step before a juvenile facility. And we volunteered there for our spring break. We acted as aides in the classroom and tutored and things like that. I had enjoyed that experience so much that I decided to keep in touch with the director, and I ended up working there that summer, the summer of 2004, and that's where I met my husband, soon-to-be ex-husband, and I stayed in contact with her through my senior year, and when I graduated, they had a couple of jobs available, but they didn't necessarily have what I was looking for, but the St. Joseph's Rehabilitation Center, which is in upstate New York, has a clinic on their property, and they were hiring for substance abuse counselors. So I interviewed and took it, and I would counsel them individually and in group settings, and it was an incredibly amazing experience. Very exhausting. I was happy to be 22. But I would definitely do it again in the short term. They're great, and no matter how they behaved, they just needed lots of love. So that was why it was great. Stacy asks, what did you do for a living before you were a full-time author? Immediately preceding that, I was working part-time at a preschool. Um, that's hard. That was harder than working with the delinquent teenagers. I swear to God. Um, I did that. I was doing that for a few months before I became an author. Um, and stayed doing that for another year or so after, or well, another 6 months or so. But prior to that, for the 3 years before that, I was a stay-at-home mom. I left my job. I worked for the town of North Elba, which is where Lake Placid is. I worked in their Parks and Rec department and did organizational and administrative stuff. But once I had my twins, I moved shop home. Stacy asked, how many hours a day or a week do you actually write? I mean, actually writing, or just like writing. Um, Not enough. Um, it's amazing I get anything done. So consistently I'll have 5 hours a day, 3 days a week, which is 15 hours, but there's usually, half an hour in there that I'll eat dinner and I like to spend some time reading or outlining or planning or whatever. So, I mean, 12 to 15, 12 hours during a week, and then technically unlimited on the weekends, but I would say no more than 20 hours. It needs to be more, but it's just not right now. So that's that. Um, the last question is, if you could be doing anything else as a career, like absolute dream job, if money was no factor, what would it be and why? Um, I would go into ministry in a heartbeat, especially with the caveat of if money was no factor. I would find a way to be able to support my household and get, you know, um, my degree and get my training there. And I would love to go into ministry of some sort. Um, so that's it. I'm gonna finish eating my cold fried rice and get some reading done, because reading is part of my workday. Just like doctors and teachers have to take continuing ed courses, I consider reading part of my continuing ed. And the book I'm reading now is in the kitchen, but I'm reading both Seeds of Hate by Melissa Pereira, which is upstairs on my bedside stand, ready for tonight, and also the book An Unlikely Disciple by Kevin Roos, which is excellent. So thank you all for watching. This is a long video, and I hope it uploads. And if you stayed for the whole 18 minutes and 23, 4, 5 seconds, I appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to finishing up Regan's book, which is Sweet 42, and I'm excited, really, really amped to start writing the final book in the November Blue series, which is titled Bow and Ember. I got goosebumps saying it. I'm really, really excited to write that. And I'm feeling positive about the series that I'm going to start next year, which is still a little top secret-ish. The only thing I will tell you, and I will only tell you all watching my video, is that the female main character's name is Kennedy Sawyer, and I think we're really going to like her. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you around.